Hi, good morning. And this is the second day without my family, second day without, the dear lady and my two children. And, it's excited. It's very excited to be doing this type of work, but it's sometimes, it's very challenging, when you are away from, the family. So I want to do the second video, and this one is focusing on the power of parenting, and I want to draw on John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, and draw on also mentalization from Peter Fogarty. I think that's his name. But mentalization, if you look at mentalization on the internet, you will find that person. He's definitely really amazing. I want to always start from the perspective in terms of parenting, in terms of what is it, the power, in a sense, of parenting. And I always have to start from, my mom and dad, who have, 13, children. And to, first of all, get you to recognize that, despite all the theories and all the framework that surrounded and underpinned, what is it like to be a good parent, it appears for me the power of parenting lies with the ability of parents who want to do their best for their children. The ability of parents who want to defy the odds, the ability of parents who persist against, the many challenges that they face. I want to draw on, if you look at Ben Carson, Ben Carson, who is a politician. I think he's responsible for urban development in America. But he used to tell the stories and the magic of thinking big, of sometimes that his grandmother or his parent who could not read, but yet still, she ensured that he read, and that he do his homework, and then the strength of the power in terms of believing in his ability. And in a sense, he achieved in terms of one of the best neurosurgeons the world have ever seen. And I also like to draw on Mr. T in the A-Team. I remember he have done an interview, and he was wearing this shoe that full, it's really old. He looked like somebody who's, in a sense, do not have nothing, but he still have all these strings and his and around his neck, probably $1 million. And the interviewer asks him, "What's with the shoe? Why is it the shoe is you're wearing approximately over £1 million worth of jewelry, but yet still your shoes is like that?" And he said that, this shoe, in a sense, reminds me of where I come from, and it tells me that no matter where I am, it helps me to remember. In a sense, where I come from. And I want to draw these things because these two things are really significant in terms of parenting. Attachment, as we know, is a bond, is that sort of unique bond between the parent, and the child, or the caregiver and the child. And there are different types of attachment. There is secure, avoidant, anxious attachment, and ambivalent attachment. And the attachment in itself is the parent's response to the need of the child. It's like, for example, the child, as soon as they're born, they start to cry. They are very demanding. One author said that, children probably one of the most, at that age, very selfish creature. And your role as the parents is to respond to those needs. And how you respond to those needs, in a sense, will help the child to develop a form of attachment that will enable them to be secure, to form what is known as secure attachment. And that attachment helps the child, in a sense, to be able to, emotionally regulate. And to understand that the child, in a sense, dependent upon your response as a means of them as they develop also to respond in a similar way. So what I'm saying in a sense that how you respond to your child at a very early age, and most psychologists, professionals around social science believe between 0 to 7, those responses are vital for the development of the child. That responses also help the child. For instance, if you have your child and the child crying, you feed the child, you respond by providing food. They might need, they might be hungry. You also respond to the child emotional needs. You also respond to the child if the child is just is not tidy. You will change the child and so forth. And all these things show a sense of safety to let the child in itself feel contained. A further work was done by Mary Ainsworth, showing anxiety and separation, where Mary Ainsworth in a sense have leave the child. You have your child. You pass your child on to, let's say, nursery. One of the responses that the child will give is that the child will cry, and the child is saying, in a sense, that I am separated. I'm separated from my secure base, which in a sense the parents acts as a secure base, for the child, as the child begin to form relationship with, in those strange situation or in environment in which produce a sense of anxiety, then the child in itself start to feel a bit more settled, and the child is able to to regulate. So attachment, in a sense, aims to provide a sense of security and safety, for children. But I also love mentalization, because I think Peter went a bit further in a sense, saying that what you're also doing is that you're teaching you're teaching the child to mentalize your behavior. When you look at the child, the child cries, as you said, you look at the child, you're reassuring the child, and by the display of your behavior, you're being able to show the child a sense of safety, how to regulate. And Peter believed these things dwell in a sense of more an empathy. Not only that the child, when they grow up, think about themselves, but the child can be able to think through thoughts, through feelings, through emotion about self, and the child is able to think of others. But as I said before, I'll finish where I started, that the power of parenting, even without not knowing all these knowledges, and the power of parenting relies or depend upon, one ability who want their best, for their children, one ability to these challenging, tough times, in a sense, to want for them to achieve. There is a story back in slavery where they say that the slave owner used to say that, I have shoes, and I have shoes, and they will ask the question, where is the shoe that they have? And they say that, the interpretation was, I don't have shoe on my feet, but I have it on my mind. I know that one day that life, in a sense, is going to become better, and so forth. And so for the parents, sometimes most of the parents who want not only things better for themselves, but they also want things better for their children. So that the power of parenting relies on one ability to want better for their children, while you learn some of the theories that surrounding childcare and what is best and so forth. And I always look at the red book that is given to every parent, and they also have lines, the percentile lines they go up and they go down, and there's a sense of possibly the midwives reminding the parents that in terms of your child, that that it will not always be up. And if it's up all the time, if your child is in a sense always sort of happy all the time, then possibly it's not a good thing. Or if your child is sad all the time, it's not a good thing, because the aim of also the mentalization is to also show the child a reaction to different emotion. Not every time the child, you're gonna laugh if you want to in a sense to to communicate something to the child of danger, you're not going to laugh when you communicate a message to the child. You're going to be able to, in a sense, put on a different tone of voice or a different expression in your face. And this allow, in a sense, you as the parents to communicate exactly what you want the child to do. So thank you very much again. And that's the day too.